Chosen one, listen to me closely, because if you're watching this right now, it is not an accident. And it is definitely not random. Something has been happening around you that most people would miss completely, but your spirit has been noticing it, even if your mind hasn't caught up yet. And I need you to understand what I'm about to tell you, because this is the kind of message that can change the way you walk through the rest of your life. The test is over, not almost over, not still processing. It ended, and it ended quietly, in a moment when you weren't even trying to be strong. In fact, it ended when you were at your lowest. Exactly 72 hours ago, there was a spiritual checkpoint placed in your path. And the crazy part is, you didn't even realize it was happening, because you were tired, mentally drained, emotionally numb, spiritually exhausted. You weren't looking for a lesson. You weren't trying to prove anything. You were just trying to survive the day. But that's exactly why it was the final test. Because the last test is never about what you can do when you're motivated. It's about who you are when you have nothing left. And you passed, not by pretending, not by acting spiritual, not by forcing yourself to be the bigger person. You passed because your soul responded correctly automatically, and the spiritual realm noticed. See, there's a level of promotion that doesn't come because you prayed harder. It comes because you became different. Because heaven doesn't elevate potential. Heaven elevates proof. And 3 days ago, you proved something that most people never prove in their entire lifetime. You proved that your integrity is no longer an act. It's your nature. And tonight, yes, tonight, at exactly 3:33 a.m., a door is going to open over your life. Not a physical door, a spiritual one. And once it opens, you don't go back to the version of yourself that was begging for answers. Because after tonight, you're going to start walking like someone who already knows. Now listen, before you get excited and think this means everything gets easy, no, this isn't a reward. This is a commissioning. And commissioning is heavier than blessing. Blessing gives you comfort. Commissioning gives you responsibility. But here's the difference. After 3:33 a.m., you won't be facing the same battles with the same strength. Because heaven is about to upgrade your spiritual access, your capacity, your authority, your discernment, and you'll feel it. You may not even understand it at first, but you'll feel it. Because when heaven moves, it doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it comes with a quiet internal shift that makes you look at your old life and think, wait, why does this feel smaller now? That's what happens when your spirit outgrows your environment. Now let me tell you what the test actually was. Because if you can identify it, you'll realize why your whole life has felt like pressure. 3 days ago, something hit you unexpectedly. Maybe it was an argument that pushed every emotional button inside you. Maybe someone said something that reopened a wound you thought was healed. Maybe you felt betrayed, dismissed, overlooked, or disrespected. Or maybe it wasn't dramatic at all. Maybe it was just one of those days where you felt so tired that you couldn't even cry. You just sat there, empty. And that moment, that exact moment, was the test. Because you were pushed into a situation where your ego had every reason to react. To snap back, to cut someone off, to get revenge, to say something cruel and finally, let them have it. And here's what heaven was watching for. Not whether you felt anger, but whether you obeyed the anger. Not whether you were tempted, but whether you became the temptation. Because temptation isn't proof that you're weak. Temptation is proof you're being measured. And when the pressure came, you didn't fold. You didn't become petty. You didn't become toxic. You didn't compromise your character just to feel powerful for 5 minutes. Even if you were shaking inside, even if you wanted to scream, even if you wanted to disappear, something in you held the line. And you might not realize how rare that is. Most people fail that test instantly. They justify it. They say, well, they deserved it. They say, I've been through too much. They say, I'm tired of being the bigger person. But you chose restraint. You chose silence. You chose peace. And not because you were weak, but because you were done being controlled. And that chosen one is the exact moment heaven said, they're ready. Because spiritual authority isn't given to people who can quote scriptures. It's given to people who can control themselves. That's why so many people pray for elevation but never get it. Because they want power, but they still react like pain. And heaven refuses to place a crown on a head that still bows to emotion. But you were tired and still stayed clean. You were angry and still stayed aligned. You were hurt and still didn't become what hurt you. And in the unseen realm, that was a thunderclap. That was the final signature. That was the proof. So tonight at 3:33 a.m., the spiritual realm is preparing something for you. And I know some people are going to hear this and laugh. They'll call it superstition. They'll call it YouTube motivation. But the reason this message is landing so deeply in you right now is because your spirit already knows. Your spirit has been feeling a shift. You've been noticing strange patterns. You've been feeling more detached from things that used to control you. You've been realizing that the old you is dying. And not in a sad way, in a powerful way. Now here's why 3:33 a.m. matters. Because between 3 and 4 a.m., the world is quiet. The noise drops. The distractions stop. The spiritual atmosphere becomes clearer. And that's why throughout history, people have always reported awakenings, visions, downloads, and encounters during this time. Not because it's magic, because it's still. And stillness is where heaven speaks loudest. And when the number 3 repeats, it represents completion, a cycle closing, a door shutting behind you, a new level opening in front of you. And tonight, the cycle closes, which means tomorrow, you wake up different. Not because your life instantly changes, but because you do. And when you change, life has no choice but to respond. So listen carefully, because I'm going to tell you the first thing that will happen after this commissioning. You're going to start seeing people differently, not with judgment, with clarity. You're going to realize who was genuine, who was draining you, who secretly competed with you, who only liked you when you were smaller. And that's when the separation begins. Because promotion always comes with pruning. And that part is going to hurt. But it's necessary. Because heaven is not preparing your throne just to place you back in the same room that broke you. No, after tonight, you won't fit where you used to beg to belong. And that's the first sign the crown is real. And that's the first sign the crown is real. Because chosen one, when heaven elevates you, it doesn't just add things to your life. It starts removing things that can't go with you. And tomorrow you're going to feel it. You'll wake up and something will be different. Not dramatic. Not like lightning strikes through your bedroom window. But subtle. Almost eerie. Like your soul is standing taller than it used to. And the first thing you're going to notice is this. Your mind is going to feel clear. That mental fog you've been fighting for months, maybe years, starts lifting. And you're going to sit there and think, wait, why does everything suddenly make sense? You're going to look back at situations that confused you, and now you'll see them for exactly what they were. You weren't overthinking. You were sensing things your spirit couldn't yet explain. But after 3:33 a.m., your discernment turns sharp. You won't have to guess anymore. You'll know. And the second thing that happens is even stranger. People will start reacting differently to you. And I need you to be ready for this part. Some people are going to be drawn to you instantly, like they can feel something on you. They'll suddenly want to talk, suddenly want to reconnect, suddenly want to check on you. But others are going to get uncomfortable. And they won't even know why. Because your energy is going to start exposing things. Your presence will start triggering insecurities. Your silence will start making people nervous. And you're going to realize something that might sting at first. Some people weren't your enemy because you did something wrong. They were your enemy because your future was always bigger than their comfort. And the moment heaven begins placing authority on you, those people can feel it. That's why after tonight, you may notice random tension, random shade, random coldness. It's not random. It's spiritual recognition, because demons don't panic over people who aren't a threat. They only start stirring when they sense a crown coming down. Now let me tell you the third sign, and this one is going to mess with you. Synchronicities, perfect timing. impossible coincidences, the right message at the right moment, the right person reaching out at the exact second you were thinking about them, the answer showing up before you even finish the question. And when it starts happening, do not dismiss it, because this is how you'll know the universe is now moving with you, not against you. See, before your test was complete, heaven had to limit certain doors, not because you weren't loved, but because you weren't fully cleared, because blessings without character become destruction. Money without maturity ruins people. Influence without humility corrupts people. Love without healing breaks people. So the delays you hated, they were protection. The closed doors you cried over, they were mercy. And now that you've proven you can handle the weight, the doors won't just open, they'll swing. And you'll start watching life align in ways you can't logically explain. But chosen one, I need to warn you, because right after promotion, there is always an attack. Not because you're weak, but because the enemy knows something you haven't fully realized yet. You're dangerous now, and the first weapon they'll try to use against you is not pain. It's pride, spiritual pride, that quiet little voice that whispers, look at you, you're different, you're special, you're above them. And if you start believing that, you'll poison your own anointing, because heaven doesn't crown people so they can feel superior. Heaven crowns people so they can serve with power. So if you wake up tomorrow and you feel that upgrade, stay grounded, stay humble, because humility is what keeps the crown stable. Not perfection, not religious performance, humility. And there's another attack coming too. This one hits most chosen ones hard. Loneliness. Because when you rise, your circle shrinks. Not because you're better, but because you're no longer compatible with certain environments. And some of the people you thought would celebrate you won't. Some will ignore you. Some will downplay your growth. Some will act like you changed. And yes, you did change. That's the whole point. You didn't go through all that pain just to stay the same. You didn't survive what you survived just to keep begging people to value you. And that's where your strength is going to be tested again. Not with temptation, but with attachment. Because heaven is going to ask you a question. Can you walk away from what feels familiar to step into what's meant for you? And that question is harder than most people realize. Because sometimes the hardest thing isn't leaving toxic people. It's leaving people you love who simply can't go where you're going. And you're going to feel it. You'll feel the separation happening naturally. The conversations won't hit the same. The places won't feel the same. The things you used to chase won't excite you anymore. And that's not depression. That's ascension. That's your spirit refusing to live beneath its calling. Now listen closely. Tonight, at 3:33 a.m., you are not being rewarded. You are being entrusted. A throne is not a trophy. It's a seat of responsibility. It means you're about to become someone people look to, someone people depend on, someone who carries peace into chaos, someone who speaks and the atmosphere shifts. And that's why your suffering was so intense. Because easy lives don't produce strong spirits. Fire doesn't destroy gold. It reveals it. And you've been in the fire for a long time, but you didn't burn. You refined. So now heaven is making it official. But I need you to do one thing. When you wake up tomorrow, don't rush to prove anything. Don't chase validation. Don't explain yourself. Just watch. Watch who comes closer. Watch who disappears. Watch how your intuition starts speaking louder. Watch how your spirit becomes calmer. And when you start seeing the signs, don't get scared. Don't doubt. Don't talk yourself out of it. Receive it. Because you didn't imagine this shift. You earned it. And if this message is hitting you in your chest right now, if you feel that confirmation deep in your soul, I want you to type 777 in the comments. Not for superstition, but as a marker, a signal, a declaration that you're ready. Because there are other chosen ones reading those comments who feel like they're losing their mind, and your 777 will remind them they're not crazy. They're just awakening. And before you go, listen. Do not forget this. The crown isn't coming to make you comfortable. It's coming to make you effective. So stay sharp, stay humble, stay disciplined, and stay aligned. Because after tonight, you don't chase the door anymore. You become the door. So if you felt this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because what's coming next for you is not ordinary, and you're going to want to be ready for it. Your test is over. And at 3:33 a.m., heaven makes it official.